And we're live, Omega. He's sitting right here. So, my left, your right. Come here. Oh, good evening. Come on. Right here. Come here. Yeah, so his ear there. Oh, well, this one's been in a good mood today, so I'm happy for that. Now, the khaki hasn't arrived. I'm gonna say it's gonna be a couple days, but we'll see. Um, yeah, we don't want to have to shut him in the bathroom, but sometimes that happens. Um, because Sam sometimes likes to play video games or read, and Omega doesn't always leave him alone for one reason or another. So sometimes he wants to cuddle, sometimes he's in a bad mood, and it's a little volatile. See his tail there. Mm. Yeah. Hey. Yeah, up to a point, being engaged with life is a really good thing, including for introverts. And there needs to be a balance, I think, because being too isolated kind of makes things too. You can get stuck on a rut very easily. Ooh. Ooh. Um, I will try to move forward with the interview. It doesn't look like my friend will be able to be the first guest on the podcast or do live events right now. Um, so that's unfortunate, but um, this is going on the second month. Um, so we'll have to find someone else. Although in the future that'll hopefully change. Um, it's just logistical issues and other things. It's nobody's fault. Um, of course, Omega here has been my co-host of sort. Yeah, I don't know. I don't think he really understands what I'm doing. But he wants my attention, and he gets upset when I make videos with him because he doesn't realize, I don't think, what I'm doing. He just sort of sees me as somewhat ignoring him. So I try to include him when I can. I don't have other sort of active pets. There's Xanatos, but I can't take him out because he might swim out of my hands, and then Omega might get him to get something to eat. So I don't want that to happen. talked to my brother about dogs, getting dogs, but he's still on the fence about it. Well, maybe not on the fence. He's against it, but he likes dogs, so maybe he'll come around. Um, oh, another thing I want to do is, and I don't know how involved this will be, but I want to make the cellar more livable and have a sort of mini apartment slash game room. It could serve as both. I'll get a nice couch in there, dehumidifier, flooring, um, another console, probably a PS5, in fact. Um, what else? Oh, probably a bed too. It'll help in the summer, anyways. I do like this place, and I want it to be more of a home. You notice there's not a lot of artwork around. I would like to change that. I'm kind of particular about my artwork, so I'll probably do it in my bedroom. That's Yeah, the bedrooms are fully ours to do with what we want. So there's no just structural damage. And then the common areas are common areas. But I think the basement will mostly be mine because, as far as I can tell, my brother just uses it for storage and laundry, which I do too. But it's yeah, this is basically laundry. I don't really have anything down there. It's in my desk. It is basically an office. I think it was a sound studio, maybe. I'm not sure, but I want to complete that setup. So I'm going to need a desktop computer. I have a good keyboard, which I got from Staples. Mouse, speakers, and a good yeah, I've got a good chair that my older brother gave me before we moved to Florida. Um, then I would need an extension cord and a power strip. Actually, a couple power strips and a couple extension cords, and get power from up here, bring it down there because I don't know what's wrong with the electricity down there. Only the washer works. A fuse must have blown. I don't know. I think maybe the previous owners or someone before us rewired the electricity on their own and didn't really know what they were doing because there's been a couple of things that have led us to believe that they did some DUI stuff, do it yourself, and it just didn't. It's had strange results. So that's what we're going to have to do, and then the console will need a gaming chair or a couple gaming chairs for guests, or if we both want to play or whatever. And then the screen, something to put it on. Pretty simple setup. And we could, in fact, we could have parties. We could have a table down there and have it be a proper game room. There'll be flooring, and then yeah, definitely have friends over, because that's something. And it's not just gamer friends either. We have the upstairs here where we can have wonderful parties, and I want to do that. Omega's a bit shy around people, but I think he'll warm up to some people as he has to us to one degree or another. Um, but yeah, I've been trying to make friends. Working, it's not as straightforward as you might think. By the way, it's something where um, It's like when we're little, like in kindergarten or something, it's just that you like someone and they like you, and that's pretty much all there is to it. Your friends, and to an extent, that's still true, even into adulthood. But there's also other things. There's distance to some degree. There's aligned values. There's sometimes it can be profession based a little bit because um like if someone's very social, or if two people are very social, let's say, and they have a lot of friends in common, that can help. um and it's not that I'm not social, it's just that I'm not an extrovert. So um socializing enlivens me. um it doesn't um no, not sociability exactly. Actually connecting with another human, and not just being around in a crowd. That helps a little bit. Being in a crowd helps a little bit, but actually connecting with people, that's what enlivens me. And I don't do that with a whole group. It's just really, it's just not for me. Even if I like the people, I'd rather have a smaller get together, like meeting up with a family group or a couple of close friends. Um, and yes, sometimes it's a friend of a friend that may be in a given setting, but for the most part, I'd rather it be just a couple of people or a family play date or something. You know, and that's another thing. Things like dog walking, it's a great social event. And that's one of the reasons I want a dog. I love dogs. I always have. Um, and but you can't walk a cat. That's one of the only drawbacks to them. Well, usually you can't walk a cat. Like I've seen people in cats in harnesses once in a while, but it doesn't really work. Um, I would say the overwhelming majority don't like to walk as a dog would want to walk. They're perfectly capable, but again, they're solitary creatures, and their psychology, their physiology is a little different. The psychology is very different. The physiology is a little different. Um, so, oh yeah, I want to make spoon bread. Now, what I did was I made well, it was mostly a spoon bread recipe. However, I made it too dry, so it was cornbread. Uh, so I hope people liked it. I had to leave early for work. I hate having to say that in a way. It's nothing wrong with my work. It's just that having to go to the job. I don't know. I hear that phrase too much sometimes, and it's like I don't know. It's tied up in some negative connotations because even in my position, if I can't make it to work and I don't have a good reason, they're going to have to find someone else. It's just business. So and I do go out of my way to show up. I told my manager at the interview that I'd walk if necessary, which um, I haven't actually had to do yet because the one time hi Jesse. Um, the one time I was going to do that, I missed the not missed the bus. The bus wasn't running, and I didn't have enough money at the moment for a cab because it was. I had spent it on a cab the other day to go see my brother in the hospital. So that was uncomfortable. I talked to one of the managers about it over the phone, and it's like it was just an awkward situation. I have more reserved now, but it's like you have one reserve for emergencies, but it's enough for one emergency, and then yeah. Oh no, this was in the winter. Yeah, so he's all right. Yeah, um, it was actually kind of to do with Omega because like in the first week we had him, he was peeing, and Sam kind of caught some of that, something from that, and they had him overnight. I think 2 nights, so it was a fairly serious thing. Um, yeah, it was kind of an intense, volatile situation. I thought we might have to give Omega up at that time, but thankfully everything worked out well, and he's become a really good member of this home. Yeah, so I appreciate having a job, and I want to do better at it. I want to have more hour. Well, I want more hours, but I want more days. That's my next kind of goal professionally. Um, yeah. So, and at some point, we're going to have to make Omega's appointment for getting him his shots and getting him fixed because we don't want him. There's been occasional times when he's pissed outside the litter pan, and so we don't want that. Um, yeah, there's a bit of stereotyping with that whole thing. It's like, oh, if there's two male cats, they're going to piss. No, not necessarily. If you strictly keep them apart in different parts of the house, they have their own separate territories, they'll probably be fine. Um, but it depends on a few variables. Um, yeah, I don't really appreciate it when non-cat owners make comments about cats just because like it it's kind of like when non-autistic people make comments about autism and they're like, oh, this is why they do. No, it isn't actually. Or if it is, it's not for the reasons you think. But you know, yeah, I do too. I miss kittens. That's one of the things that I miss the most about raising about doing this professionally. Um, and I want to get back into that at some point. I don't know what the time scale will be. Um, and my sunburn's doing better. It still hurts. I was pretty close to sun poisoning. So that was on Saturday. So I've got Sunday and hello. see Omega's ear here. The problem is if I hold him, he sometimes squirms or gets agitated, and it might. Um, yeah, I'll show you him actually, but it might be briefly because he might squirm or whatever. Hey, I want to show you. I want people to see how beautiful you are. They've heard the anecdotes, but I wanted them to see. Oh. Well, he's not in the best mood, unfortunately. Come here, Omega. Come here. Hold up. Come here. Hey, Omega. Come on. I'm trying to be nice to you. Say hi to my audience. Please? Yeah. Here he is. Isn't he beautiful? I think he is. Anyways, yeah, he's in a little bit of a mood, so I don't wanna push it. And he's definitely not a prop or anything like that. That's something I can't stand. I had two cats, or we had two cats, Max and me, that we adopted, and yeah, he's in a definitely mixed mood. Hi. And there he goes again. Hi. Yeah, he's in a bitey mood. I can tell by the way he's acting. And it's not personal with them. It's just the mood they're in. It's not. Oh, anyways, the cats. One was named Savannah. And kept the name because we wanted them to keep their identity and not get confused. She was basically ignored as far as we can tell. So she didn't at first she didn't bond with us very much. She was just very, very, very passive. And I told my ex that unless she became more of a yeah, see, Scratchy. Scratchy is the sibling of Bitey. Omega. No. Okay, come here. Go down. Um, yeah, but after a few months, she did become a good pet because we don't want to show peace. We never did. I certainly won't treat a cat that way. It's like they may be somewhat passive. Hello. Um, this is the most ever views I've gotten on a live stream. Oh, it's wonderful to see you here. Welcome. Mhm. Let's see. The other one was named Excellent. Excellent. Yeah, no, the other one was named Nugget, and she was going hungry. She was between starved and neglected. I would say she was kind of a mess of her hair was a mess. Whoa. Whoa. And she was chased away from the food bowl, unfortunately. So she was kind of a little more than skin and bones, so not quite starving, but too much. Not enough food. We gave her plenty of food, good quality food, attention. She responded as many traumatized cats do with um, just wanting attention, like craving it. That too changed in about after several months, she became more of a standard cat, still very affectionate, but not, craving attention like a drug in the same way. So that was wonderful to have these animals blossom when they're put into when they're accepted into a home instead of just sort of existing in a house, if that makes sense. And then Raymond and Autumn were the ones we acquired through the business. They were our pets, and they were pretty standard as far as blossoming as individuals, I would say. Raymond I handpicked, and then Autumn. I think we mutually agreed upon adopting her. Um, yeah, so that was it was absolutely wonderful to have cats of our own. Welcome. Thank you. Thank you. As I've said, I will try to get different content. Um, some people like different things, so I'll try to be doing interviews. Um, what did I say at the beginning? Oh yeah, my friend, um, my friend can't do the interviews at this time. So for a few reasons. So I'm gonna have to go with someone else for the first interview. But yeah, I'm really excited about this channel. I, I'm so happy that I have a community, an active community of people. Because it's only like a couple percentages of the total, I mean, maybe several percent of the total subscribers who come in steadily and enjoy the live streams, or the regular content. Um, so I don't really do the sub count. I'm not obsessed with it like some YouTubers are. Unfortunately, like I see them with the metrics. I mean, I look at the metrics definitely, but it's not something I really obsess over because I just the only thing I look for is if it's something that people clearly don't like, then I try to remove it. But if the likes versus dislikes are pretty high, then yeah, then I'll try to continue with that. Um, I do most of my content for myself. I may remove some things, as I said, for um, for the audience, but a couple dozen. But mostly I just do it for myself, so people are along for the ride. Um, Maybe a couple times a week I will stream, usually Fortnite, and then I might do one or more streams where I'm talking, where people might be interested in participating. Oh yeah, yeah. We kind of did grow up in high school, didn't we? Hmm. I think it took me. I mean, in a way, growing up as a non-linear process, but I'd say a large part of growing up for me was in high school. Because like when I first got there, I was a wreck. I would say, like, emotionally, uh, for various reasons. It's just a bunch of things went wrong. I was on the wrong medication. People didn't really know how to work with autistic people necessarily in my home environment. I was homeschooled, so I was ahead in some subjects, but really behind in other ones. Like, I didn't really understand what science was, even though I read a lot. Like, it didn't emotionally connect with me. Basically, like, I heard it, but I thought it was some weird abstraction that someone came up with or whatever. It wasn't. It wasn't. I didn't do a first principles thinking at all. Like, I hadn't heard of first principles. Um, so that was, and I didn't know what the scientific method was. We had basically these VHSs with, I don't know what his name was, but I remember my mom saying specifically that he was a Christian Scientist, and not like a cult, and not the religion thing, but like he was a scientist who was Christian. So that was a big deal. I did enjoy them. I'm not sure. I think it had to do with chemistry somewhat, but that wasn't something that was necessarily. Yeah, that's wonderful. Yeah. Well, anyways, then a lot of reading. I'm not sure. The comprehension was a little weird because, let's see, there was the Bible, with Bible studies in the morning. Math, I always struggled with. Hated math. I have an appreciation for the subject, but it doesn't work for me. Even though I know it's very useful, it's just not something that I can do. Um, it's like I can do practical math, and there's advanced mathematical thinking. Nice. Yeah, sorry about Omega. But like I said, he's definitely not a prop per se. Like, sometimes he wants to be, I guess, but sometimes it depends on his mood. And thank you very much for supporting me. I appreciate all that my fans do. And you know something? Probably in the future, in the near future, in fact, I'll do something like, I want to make spoon bread, and I'm interested in baking. So there'll be different things I bake, and yes, exactly. It's an apology, but not really, because cats are their own creatures. I like that too. I keep making comparisons between cats and people with autism because both are very deeply misunderstood on a level that most humans don't appreciate at all. They, I would say a good many people haven't heard of autism. Those who have, a lot of them believe really, really harmful stereotypes. And it's the same thing with cats. It's like, oh, cats are skittish, or cats hate dogs. No, they don't. They get along fine with dogs if they're not maladjusted. Um, yeah, the old saying, "Cats and dogs." It's like, okay, but not really. And usually, when a cat is skittish or any of the negative stereotypes, it's maladjustment. Most autistic people who are a problem for other people are maladjusted. Same thing. They're deeply misunderstood. It's like the way we communicate. Um, I, the way we communicate is not the way a neurotypical person communicates. Or usually more literal. We do get nuance, by the way, but we don't necessarily use it. It's it, like we have at least average. empathy, but usually lower expressed empathy. So people think it's low. It's not. It's actually usually higher. Other than that, the way we think is different. The way we actually neurologically process information and sensory information and any type of information really is different. It's not. It just is what it is. It's not a good or bad. There's no moral judgment on this. Um, it's very much genetic, and it largely depends on the mother's age and genetics, as I said. If there's people in the family who are autistic, like siblings, for example, it's much more likely that someone else is going to be autistic. I think it's important to not, for autistic people, to not go too far down the rabbit holes because sometimes we can be obsessive and tunnel visioned. Tunnel vision is not good. Tunnel vision in autistic people, from what I've observed, is the result. It's the result of I don't want to say trauma response, although that can be exactly what it is, but it's a way to shelter from sensory overload. Um, yeah. I'm high functioning autism. There was a time when I thought, like, I don't know. I didn't know what it was. I knew it was different, but I didn't know exactly what that meant. And I had some pretty interesting notions about reality that didn't really mesh up exactly. There's ways of making sense of things. Yeah, yeah, little things like that. There's oh, yeah, there's a little bit of OCD involvement. It's not diagnosable, I don't think, with me, but um, yeah, there's sometimes I'll do something repeatedly, or I'll walk a certain way, at least briefly, or not step on a crack, hit the sidewalk, something like that. That's just uh, maybe an eccentricity. I don't know, but it's more in the way of eccentricity rather than a disability. I don't think. And the other thing is, um, with a lot of the labels, it's actually different. It's a different ability. Um, not a disability. I know it's a stereotypical thing to say, but it happens to be true. Like, I have ADD as well. At times, it has been a handicap. However, what happens is that I can shift focus much more quickly than most people. Um, that's another layer. That's another layer of how I operate, because um, like ADD is so common that people just think, oh, every kid has ADD. No, they don't. That is so far from the truth. I don't know how to express how profoundly mistaken that is, except that I suggest people read the clinical literature if they have the temperament and the ability to comprehend it. Talk to professionals. Talk to people with ADD and ADHD. I mean, it's still ADD, but it's a little different. And by the way, I've had both. I had ADHD when I was younger, and I no longer have that. Like, I don't have to. Like, I don't sort of move sort of semi compulsively. Um, so a lot of people grow out of it, and I know there's different types. So this isn't a sweeping statement here, but a lot of people grow out of it, out of ADHD, but you don't grow out of ADD. And it's not a character flaw. I'm not making a moral judgment at all. It's just what it is. And I don't think medication is appropriate in most cases. Hello? Excellent. Thank you very much. Whew. Yeah, my goal for this summer is to get monetized, or at least meet the criterion for monetization. So thank you very much for all the support. I'm very grateful for it. And that's another thing. Gratitude is one of the central um, things that improve life. Um, I think, or it's a byproduct for of it's a byproduct of the things that enrich the habits that enrich life. Um, and that it's so far from positivism or any of the other trendy weird things people come up with, abstractions basically. No, I found that it's a practice, but it has to have substance. It doesn't come out of a void. It's got to be something that um in a way it's making a list, but it's more of um observing. So I'm grateful for having enough food, for having good food, for having health, for having places I can go that I really want to go to, for my cat, um, for my subscribers, well, really this community. Um, oh, yes. I'm grateful for my friends and that their families are doing well. It's blossoming friendships and the opportunity to be social, or not just be social. Yeah, it's it's more than that. Like being in a crowd, like say I'm at the mall, which I actually like to be in, by the way. Unlike some guy, like I like shopping. That's something that's um, a bit atypical, I think. Like most guys, just go in, get the stuff, and leave. It's purpose, it's object motivated. Again, objective motivated. Um, I like to choose things. Like I'm sort of actively planning the meal. Like there's some basic things to get, like staples like flour and eggs, and probably usually chicken, usually some seafood. But there's also it's like, oh, we should get paprika, to because that would help with fill in the blank. It's more of an active thing with me. Um, or it's like, um, what dessert do I want to bake, or what do I have planned for this week? That sort of thing. Ah, yeah, I definitely need help with, or I think I will need help with moderating. Just there's bound to be some people who want to spread their um, input. Yes, yes, you are. Yeah, I started out with let's see, it was the 6th of last month. I had 7 subs, and now I have, well, I don't know how many actually, at least 65, but it's more. So I'll check. So we're definitely getting onto bigger and better things, I think. Um, yeah, animals that I want. It's always been a theme with me because I love animals, but I've kind of not had a lot of money in most of my life, and now I have more. And I don't want a zoo, but I do want a lot of animals. Nice. Yeah, that's good. Spamming emotes. Hmm. It's good feedback. Um, I kind of have a list. I thought of having a foundation someday, depending on how successful I am in business, that in part does animal preservation, preservation of various species. So the one I really want is octopi. It'd have to be um, a large enough enclosure for, excuse me, for them, and they would need to have people who could keep them mentally stimulated. It's like yeah, I'm enjoying it so far very much. This is the best stream ever. This is a lot of engagement from people, and it's awesome. I thought it would kind of be a short stream, where 20-25 minutes, but it's oh hey, how you doing? Daniel and me go way back. Yeah, I met him in I want to say 2012. Yeah, 2012 about. Oh, good guy. So octopi. Now they're I haven't seen them in person, but I have seen videos of them. They look like they're really incredible creatures. They seem to be very, very smart, kind of like elephants. Now, elephants, the other one that I really want beyond cats and dogs and such. But they're so large that it wouldn't be very plausible to have them as pets, at least not for a while. um, uh, I haven't tried them. I probably will someday. Once I've done some research on them, and I kind of want people to monitor, friends to monitor me, because sometimes different compounds can have unpredictable results. But yeah. Hmm. Yeah, there's a lot of interesting potential YouTube content that can be made from. Oh yeah, you should check out Jesse's streams and content if you're interested in gaming. He's a good commentator, and he's really good at different games. So Ooh. Yeah, that's good. Nice. Thank you. Um, yeah, I mean, there's a lot of ideas for content. It's like, um, for example, go somewhere new, or the person who's being filmed goes somewhere new, talks to some people, and then they come back at some point relatively soon when people would still remember them and say, that was me on ketamine, or something, something like that, or um, a bit of a reaction video, but also playing it straight and yeah, pretending that you really were, but not an exaggerate, not being an exaggerated stereotype. Um, because there's a lot of what I would consider more mediocre YouTubers who do exaggerated stereotypes. Now that's fine for what it is, but it's kind of fluff. I mean, it depends on how you do it, but usually it's fluff. Yeah, I mentioned ketamine because I did I did talk about it with a medical professional at one point, but um, yeah, I was talking about clinical trials, but it's apparently they weren't available. Yeah. Anyways, that's something that I intend to look into under medical supervision. So that's Mhm. Yeah. Cats have colonies, and so they're solitary, but they're definitely social creatures. And we get adopted into their colonies, or we don't. They have likes and dislikes, and favorites and not so favorites, and they're pretty obvious about how they bond with others. If they treat us like cats, that's usually a good sign. If they don't, well, I don't know. Maybe there's not such a great connection. Oh yeah, yeah. Trauma. I think it was trauma recovery plus, especially microdosing. It can be helpful in treating depression. At least that's what I've heard from various sources. Yeah, I think. Oh, I think in that series, Russian Doll, they referenced it. I think she was maybe smoking some ketamine, and that caused something. Yeah, yeah, it can have unpredictable results, definitely. And that's something that kind of doesn't sit right with me, is that a lot of cat food isn't good, and dog food too. It's just garbage grade. I look at that and it's like, okay, I wouldn't feed this to a human, obviously, even if we broke down the components and combined them differently. I wouldn't feed this to a human. It's like at best it's comfort food, but it's not a really good diet. Cats are obligate carnivores. It means that they need a lot of meat in their diet. Fresh is usually better, but some cats Some cats like human food. I'd say most do to one degree or another. Some don't though. Like Raymond, it was interesting. We had what was it? I was eating Oreos and I I let him sniff one, and he took a bite out of it, and I was surprised because he never ate human food. We offered it, he'd sniff it maybe and walk away. Love cat food, but except for Oreos, he loved Oreos, so he ate that whole section. Oh, and then we specifically got him the vanilla ones. Well, never were feeding him a whole bunch of them, but we like the vanilla ones too. So we would twist off the the sugar part, scrape that off, and give him a piece. Now Raymond, oh, that was something interesting. I wonder if Omega is one of Raymond's children or grandchildren. I don't have a lot to go on, of course, no genetic tests or anything, but Raymond was pretty sharp for just one of the smarter cats I've ever met. Omega is the smartest cat I've ever met by a margin, so that's something. And he's a tuxedo. I don't know. I'd like to think that they're related. Could be. Of course, he's not a Persian, so there's that. But anyways, they have. Oh yeah, and it's because Raymond was gray and white, and Omega is black and white. Um, Raymond's grandfather was black and white, and he was big too. So that would explain. It was Raymond was like maybe a little over half the size of Omega, like really small. But Raymond's grandfather was big, like Omega. So could be. I don't have any more. I don't have any information about that or about Omega's origins. It's just that he was a year old when we got him. I think he lived in Waterbury, and the people were moving. So, and at first I thought this was going to be a fostering situation, and we give him a good house to live in, and then we would find a more permanent place for him. But 4 days in, he rubbed up against my leg and he wanted to cuddle, and that was one of the most incredible moments of my life, to be honest. I love the moment when a kitten at about 3 or 4 weeks, kitten's personality starts blossoming. That is one of the best things in all of existence. And they usually keep a lot of that too. It, oh yeah, someday Charlie's your cat. Yeah, my friend who lives across the state has a cat. Oh, nice. Yeah, and yeah. I mean, someday I bet that would happen. That will happen. Like I'll come down to visit, I'll come over to visit, and yeah. So I like traveling, anyways, and I like meeting with my friends, and I like hanging out with cats. So there's a lot of good things to this. But yeah, and puppies too. Puppies are the same way. I'm not sure what exactly the it's about the same. It's about 4 weeks, but I didn't notice them as much. Like they'd mostly be like trying to eat my shoelaces or something, and I wasn't sure what age they were. I didn't keep track of that as precisely because I wasn't as involved in in that part of the business. I mostly was working with the cats, but they're wonderful too. They're lively little things, and I like dogs a lot. They're they're pack animals, so they definitely try um, to fit us into the pack. Yeah. Hey, Omega. Yeah, cats' moods can change for various reasons. We don't always know why. Hey. Hey. Yeah, he rubs up against my hand too. That's adorable. Yeah. I like to make all the pets feel at home, because it is a home. It's not a house. Um, and animals are part of that. It's like the difference between a house and a home is who's in it and what the dynamic of the family unit or living situation is. So cats, um, if you bond with them, I think, or if they bond with you both, um, then you can be a family unit. But you can't make them accept you into their pack. And people who try that, it really doesn't work out well. Welcome. Excellent. Um, yeah, it's like that whole thing with um, kind of pressuring kids into making small talk maybe with people. Rocks. I used to like rocks. I would collect them for my mother, and then she would put them into the plant, the bases of the plant, basically. Yeah, rocks and stones, both. A lot of streams in Connecticut. It's one of the reasons why it's so humid. Whew. Um, yeah, they're good. Some people study them. Oh, remember in Breaking Bad how Hank had his rock collect well, his mineral collection, and he kept on going on about how the differences between them, between rocks and the different minerals and rocks and stones. Yeah. I kind of wish they had given Dean Morris a little more room because, like, in real life, I don't like people like Hank. I don't like bullies, even if they have some other qualities. It's just it's something that I don't like domineering people in particular. Like if they try to dominate me, they Um, yeah, but what tends to happen in those situations is, um, move over, is the people who kind of, oh, well, that's a bit of a nuanced question. I'm with the refugees and anybody who's, suffering. I don't want people to suffer. But as for the rest, it's a little bit. It's too complex an issue to get here, and I do try to make this a family friendly channel. So there's certain language I don't want someone to come in here and spam if someone or another gives an opinion that perhaps they don't like. So I try. It's not that I avoid political topics. Like I'll talk about political theory and philosophy. I love that actually. But if you're talking about a specific person or a specific event, that's probably not going to be a good idea. Yeah, because I said on my channel, I think it's listed there. We talk about life, politics, and everything in between. Now, I mentioned politics specifically because, well, it's usually an evergreen topic, but if you get into the specifics, that can be a problem. Yeah, exactly, exactly. Um, yes, and that's why I don't make sweeping statements, or I try not to. Like, or if I do, it's really it may not be what people think. I mean, yeah. Okay. So here's an example of what I'm talking about. Um, yes. Um, I would say that I would support the continuation of aid packages coming in, but I'd rather it be in places that are controlled by their safe zones, let's say, and and that people can come there, be brought there, etc., and receive help because there's a lot of very. Okay, sir, I need you to stop these sorts of comments. Like, I don't want to. I don't want to get into specifics about that sort of thing. Okay, thank you. Um, and again, I definitely can get into this, including the specifics, but it would have to be on a different forum. So it's just yeah. Yeah, controversial topics aren't something that I necessarily avoid, but there's certain situations where it's not good to talk about them in certain contexts. Um, yeah, the societies are usually judged in the long term by the opportunities they provide and by how they treat the most vulnerable. So I try to. Thank you. I try to. I try to help out where I can. It's usually a small thing. Maybe it has a larger impact, maybe a smaller one, but it's a little something. Um, but societies need to practice some form of safety net. Usually, there's usually a lot of argument about what that means. Um, I'm in favor of a highly efficient system that gives people a minimum standard of what they need, including full medical coverage. Um, and I know people howl about, oh, who's going to pay for that? Well, the taxpayers are going to pay for it. But if you get out ahead and you do things like collective bargaining, you can bring down the price of a lot of different things, a lot of medications. That would be a broad statement that I would be fully in support of if we got behind it as a nation. But that's difficult because people have lots of opinions about how that would be done. And unfortunately, some people um, vote for politicians who simply to hurt the right people, the people that they don't like, and so they don't want them getting anything good. So those continue with what's happening now, so that well, anyways, they tend to be very very negative people, and I don't like being around them. Um, anyways, now I think what America needs to do, and we're kind of coming around to this a little bit. I think is we need to work with people who are working with us in good faith, our allies, people who are friendly with us, and we should not be working with our enemies. And it doesn't mean that we're at war with someone. It means that they're opposed to us on a philosophical and practical level. People notice that um, the geopolitical goalposts have changed. Um, when I was growing up, it was kind of there's still remnants of the Cold War. People thought Russia was a big boogeyman. The invasion of Ukraine has shown that they're not. Yes, they're dangerous, but they're not a peer enemy to us. They are an enemy. There can be no doubt of that. Ideologically and on a practical level. Yeah. Well, that sort of thing. I mean, there's a lot that goes into that. Usually, there's strings. Like there was some years back, there was the Iran nuclear deal. There was a lot of strings, and then it kind of imploded for various reasons. But we were going to give them a lot of money, and we were giving them a lot of money to do what we asked. And it's not like they're a little tiny country where we could just sort of take their stuff away if they became a danger to themselves and others. But you got to negotiate with people once they reach a certain size slash energy technology level, and that's something that it's like on the one hand talking about complex topics like this. Like I hear people talking about complex topics such as this in the supermarket or whatever. And there are, on most occasions, it's my opinion that they don't know what they're talking about. And they're not qualified to have an opinion on the particular topics they're talking about. And when I say opinion, I don't mean what their current impression or beliefs are. I mean, that they have um, something to say that isn't regurgitated essentially. And then, now that being said, if it's entertainment, it's entertainment. It's fine. It's like if someone wants to talk conspiracy theories, yeah, okay, I'll you know that can be funny. And you don't have to know what the heck you're talking about. It just has to be entertaining. But like, if someone was talking about something like our immigration policy, let's say, broadly, um, I'm in favor of skilled workers and their families coming here and working. I'm not in favor of a lot of the other solutions out there because a lot of times people are just chasing abstractions and like, oh, we have to work with what we have. Well, you don't actually. You can. There's other solutions usually. Um, and that's what makes it a complex topic. There's a lot of people involved. A lot of people involved in in the entire political process. And there's various reasons why various solutions don't work or only partially work. Because a lot of times people who propose solutions, they're looking to solve a narrow problem, but the problem isn't what they think it is in the first place. And they don't want to acknowledge that. So you can't go on with them because they can't understand or won't accept this very elemental building block of logic. And anyways, so that's why I don't usually have um I sometimes don't have an opinion, or I don't. I'll say I don't have enough um, information to have an opinion. And some people might think of that in different ways, but it's there's good reasons to not get into certain topics, especially with certain people. Some people don't have the temperament to have an actual debate. Uh, they think a debate is an argument, and they don't even know what an argument is. An argument is not an emotional thing. It's not people throwing tantrums. It's you have an argument, I have an argument. That is a statement of logic, a basic statement of your premise and my premise. Then you argue about, well, all of it. But that doesn't mean scream at one another. That being said, people can get very emotional and still be respectful. Just because you disagree with someone doesn't mean that the respect needs to fluctuate. That's something I say to everyone. And that's something that we miss in our political discourse. And there's a number of reasons for that. Part of it is our education system has failed us. There's most, not most, many people, far more as a percentage than should be, are functionally illiterate. And it's more than that. It's not wanting to read. And trying to teach reading comprehension isn't the solution. Basically, there's a lot of solutions to problems, but you have to look at the context. If one doesn't look at the context, it's not going to work out. Because a lot of things are set up for the system as it is, and the system as it is does not serve the system that can be. or should be, or will be, probably. And I'm not one for the gradual incremental improvement of the system. I would rather build anew in a logical way on a good basis, but build anew. One thing that may, oh, I don't know. Um, as part of that, as part of changing and building a new system, um, I would oppose public sector unions. I would outlaw them, in fact. Yes, they serve a really good purpose now in the system that is, and it's very important to note that. And I'm not, I know the function that they do, and it's broadly good, but they also protect and insulate incompetent teachers and police officers, etc. Um, I'd rather teachers and police officers work for the county or the city directly, and they don't go through a union. They have the same rights they have now. They have a right to legal representation, or they would have a right to legal representation as part of their job, paid for by the city or the county, etc. Or they could hire a private lawyer if they wanted to, out of pocket. Um, kind of like public defender, because that wouldn't really be different than the unions. I don't think. Anyways, because I've noticed that some police officers act like very unprofessional ways, and sometimes departments appear to hire officers that are very aggressive and domineering. Now, I understand that it's a difficult job and sometimes you need to be aggressive, but you don't need to be domineering, especially not in a social situation. And same thing with teachers, really. Some of them prance around like, and there's a lot of good teachers and a lot of good police officers. I'm not, trying to make a too broad a statement, but the bad actors can and do exist and thrive, and um, and they're basically a blight for their entire career. Yes, they're not bullies to everyone. They're not nasty to everyone, but that's another thing. There's a lot of people who, unfortunately, they say, "Oh, well, this person who." Um, Someone or multiple people say that this person is being abusive in various ways, and they're like, "Oh, they've never been that way with me." Abusers groom allies as much as they groom victims. I tell people that, and sometimes I don't know. Definitely, people who have been through some have some history with difficult people, they understand that, because some difficult people are abusive, and most abusers are amongst difficult people, at least in some contexts and settings. So I think that's important. Some people, as I say, approach very, very complex topics in a very simplistic way. They say, "Oh, this candidate is going to help me. I'm going to keep my job." No, you won't. No, you won't. Even if they try to keep their campaign promises, it's not like if it's a presidential election. Let's say presidents don't have enough personal authority. They can sort of move the needle to some degree if they have congressional support. They can actually move things a lot. And that's why the parties tend to support more power to the president, because when their guy gets into office, they can use that power. They can be like a lightning rod, and they are if they're effective, and they're not if they're not. Uh, and that goes for both parties. That goes for all of them. some are good, some aren't good at their job. Some are good people, some aren't good people, and usually quite a mismatch, and that's okay, I think. I do wish there was a third party, though. I, I kind of have a thing where, well, my idea of a third party would be something like libertarian light, so not as much rugged individualism. Um, what was it? I actually wrote something about it. I can't recite it word for word, but I called, as a placeholder, I call it the community party. It's yeah, libertarian light, pro social safety net, relatively small government, let private institutions take over, or organizations take over a lot of government functions, all but outlaw partial government organizations. The military would be um, largely unchanged, although they'd basically be the biggest department, but it would have some radical differences in how it would basically, there'd be a process where people were reviewed for competence by the way it's supposed to be, by experienced people um, who have real world experience, have been deployed, et cetera, et cetera. That's my idea. It's not quite throwing spaghetti at the wall, but it's something, because I'm not exactly libertarian, but that's closest to my beliefs, I think, politically. Because people don't thrive in systems necessarily. Systems make people act in more predictable ways, but they don't necessarily make them better or worse. Some systems, like every socialist system I know of on a national level, ends in disaster and misery and genocide. But that's a system. It's, other ones, they produce other results. But yeah, the culture of a people. You see, any political movement that goes against culture itself, it's like it's like some religious people. They hate joy. Like the Puritans appeared to hate joy. How do you? It's one of the fruits of the spirit, right in the Bible. How do you go against that? And yet they did. Oh. Misery craves company, even if the people hate the company. Oh. Anyways, yeah, no, me and my brother were talking talking about that topic, and it was interesting because, yeah, like how how do you have a functional society that hates joy? It hates enjoyment, hates pleasure, hates pleasure. Well, they did because it was highly structured and highly regimented, highly regimented, and that's why I'm disgusted by Britannical values, which linger today. By the way, that's why people are so apprehensive about money and, um, well, everything the Puritans hated or tried to control. Um, that's why some people think that there's universal rules for all couples. For example, it's like I've encountered this so many times. It's like this and that, and the other thing is cheating. No, it isn't. Cheating is breaking the rules. That's all the cheating is. It is not a single exception, unless the rules are undefined, of course. But that's, well, that's kind of a problem. I mean, this kind of like a standard thing where it's like, yeah, this, that, the other thing. There's a standard list of things that would make most people uncomfortable if the partner did, so they don't do it in good faith. Good, that's wonderful. But you can't have strangers enforce these sorts of things because, like with some people, um, dressing certain ways it would be unacceptable. That's fine if both agree to it, but usually only one agrees to it and the other does so reluctantly. It's the same way, unfortunately, in a lot of relationships, often in subtle ways. It's like, oh, I have a good example. I used I used to have oatmeal a lot when I was growing up, especially when I was little. And it was kind of a big deal that I not have raisins cooked in with the oatmeal because I was very, very, very picky when I was little. But um, my family would usually cook them with, like from the beginning, so they swelled up, and I didn't like eating them, but they kept making it that way because it was a pot for everyone. Um, that that was kind of a big deal, but there was a misalignment of what's a big deal for me and what's a big deal for them, I think. And I think that translates somewhat to I think a lot of people's relationships, because I answer these questions on Quora a lot, and sometimes I hear things or talk to people in real life about different things, and these sorts of issues keep coming up. It's like usually a small thing would be like whether to get a pet or not, for as an example. For some people, it's a huge thing. There's some people that they cannot not have pets. They absolutely have to have pets. Um, Other people don't care. Other people absolutely do not want pets. It's a deal breaker. Um, yeah, I'd say living with an animal is a pretty big commitment. Um, if someone wants to have them as part of their home instead of necessarily being more the stereotype of them just sort of living there. No. Anyways, yeah, it's definitely something to commit to. Um, I think it's important. I think it's important that people um, have faith in themselves, even if they don't feel like they may feel like they're letting themselves down or letting the family or friends or whoever, whatever, down. Um, because there's a capacity to change within all humans, and that's something. I think that's what faith is. It's the realization of that capacity and the belief that people will make positive choices over time. And um, life is not about, in the long run, it's not about having fewer errors. It's about pursuing opportunities in a responsible way. So yes, there has to be some caution, a lot of it actually, especially when someone has a family. But there's also, I don't know, maybe it gets more spiritual in a way. It's like you people have hobbies, and maybe those hobbies become more serious, like artwork, let's say. Um, they pursue them for different reasons, not just for enjoyment. It could be for stress release, um, to but it's also um, it becomes something perhaps that they can do. They can put the best of themselves into. Um, I don't know. Not everyone has a hobby that they're passionate about, um, or multiple hobbies. But I think it's important, and maybe hobby is even a dismissive term in some ways, and I don't tend to be that way. But there's responsibility, and there's also what we ourselves enjoy. Um, sometimes they're both. Sometimes they're both at the same time, but a lot of times one has to take time to devote to one or the other, and responsibility is the default. But what we enjoy is also something that I think we should carve time out for. Oh, well, it's past 10. Well, this has been delightful. Um, I will. I'm going to wrap this up soon. Excellent. Oop, that was Omega. Are you going to stream soon? Not you, Omega. You are streaming. Yeah, you would know how to operate the camera without me, would you? Would you? We got a mechanical home pretty soon. Excellent. Yeah, I'll definitely hop on. Yeah, I like this. I wanna. I will. I'm not sure what mood he's in. What mood are you in? What mood are you in? Hey, come here. Here we go. Mhm. Yeah, I am too. Thank you, everyone, for showing up. This is. Actually, where does it show the count? Alright, participants. Just shows you. Oh, scores of comments, certainly. Uh, I'm not sure how to find that out, but yeah, scores of comments, definitely. Omega says good night. He's purring. I think he's in a good mood. Okay, you want to get down? Yeah, he's shedding his summer coat. He's shedding his coat for the summer, rather. Oh, yeah, I'll probably do multiple streams like this per week, hopefully with Omega in them, maybe with a guest, who knows. Um, and I'll probably do one or more Fortnite streams on the PS4. I don't usually schedule those because Fortnite is more of a impulsive thing based on mood or whatever else is going on. Um, and before I hey, hey, Oof. Uh, um, yeah, it could be decompression. It could be someone invites me, but hmm, nice. Yeah, I'll definitely check those out. Um, and sometimes it's just something I want to do or a moving meditation type thing. So I'll hop on, but I don't necessarily stream. Like I try to find out beforehand whether I'm having a good day or not, because I usually get like one or two kills if I'm having a bad day, if that, or if I'm having a good day, it's like 10 plus. And often, sometimes when I have a mediocre team, I just leave them behind. So, okay, kids, whatever, do your thing, have fun, and but then I go in and annihilate multiple enemy teams on my own, or more or less on my own, or a third party. And that's awesome because then I can get a lot more kills. mm, Omega is not happy with me. Are you? Yeah, they say that looking at well, according to that Grok AI thing that X has, um, looking at cast directly is a challenge to them. Maybe, I don't know. The way they interpret the world is like if a human was looking up from the bottom of a well, basically. It's kind of weird. Of course, the way we look at the world is kind of weird to them. So Omega's not amused. Yeah. No, no, no. There's a lot more nuance to this topic as well because, um, first of all, it's not one thing only. Um, yeah, when they're slow blinking at us, usually that means the- it's a bonding thing. They're very happy with us. So, yeah, I'll hop off pretty soon, and I will hop on your stream. Ooh, good day today. Yeah, you have a good day too. And also, I want to get a desktop computer, but that's going to be a little farther down the road, and I'll be able to stream better. Like I can do it on the phone, of course, but it's got a bad charge, so I don't like doing streaming on there, and I don't want to just be sitting there with it plugged in. So I want a new phone too. But again, that's going to be a longer term thing. Whew. Well, thank you all for joining me, and I hope that the next time we do this, there will be even more participants, and maybe I'll have 70, 80, 90, 100 subs. 100's the next milestone, so we'll get there together as a community. And I really appreciate you all taking the time uh, and leaving feedback and supporting me. This is wonderful. So I'm going to wish you all a good night, me and Omega, and I will see you next time.